What is up, insiders? Where's my blanket? Oh, it's your girl, NR the Insider, and I am back with another video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and share and do all of that. So what are we talking about today? Some things I learned from my first semester of law school. What? I did it, y'all. I ain't got all my grades yet, but I feel pretty good, you know? So let me tell you about what I learned. Let me just cut to the chase, okay? So, and people be saying this all the time, but for some reason, I just didn't do it. Go to office hours. You know, me and my friends would be talking about office hours, and I'd be like, well, I don't really have nothing to say. But the problem was that I didn't know what I didn't know because I wasn't reviewing enough. So if you had a question in class, write that thing down in your notes and go to office hours. Go to office hours all the time. Actually, there is one professor whose office hours I went to all the time. And I was always emailing him and asking him questions. Hey, Professor Scrap, that's my dog, you know. I'm sure he was tired of me asking him questions all the time, but I don't care because, you know, we're praying for this. So if you need to know something, you need to know. So go to office hours, write down some questions, and just have a conversation with your professor because you want to build that rapport. You know what I'm saying? You want to build that. So go to office hours. Ask questions in class too. Don't be afraid, don't be shy, because let me tell you, I know sometimes I felt like I was asking some stupid question, or people in my section would like start a question by saying, oh, I know this might be stupid, but no, ask your question. We're all thinking the same thing. And even if maybe your question is a little stupid, or people might think it's stupid, that might be something that you needed to know for some kind of clarification. So you better ask that question. Don't be sitting up in there, you know, acting all shy, because you're gonna be looking crazy. And then you're gonna try to ask your friends, but they probably don't know either. So ask your questions in class, please. This is a T right here. Use those commercial supplements. Now, one of my favorite professors, I think it was like the first day of class, he came up in there and he was like, y'all better not be using any of those commercial supplements because I'm gonna teach you everything you need to know. And he definitely did teach us everything we needed to know, but the girl was still a little confused. And so at the end of the semester, right before the exam for that class, I was like, let me pick up this little commercial outline and see what it's talking about. And when I read it, I was like, oh, that makes more sense. So don't rely on them, but when you come to a point where you're just not getting something and you don't want to keep asking your professor or something, just go ahead and use those commercial supplements because, well, let me not even say that, but yeah, use them. Don't be afraid. Stay organized. I know y'all probably done heard this 50,000 times, but at some points, like I was having problems with my computer, and I remember one class, it just wasn't even working. So I was like, had to find like scrap paper to write on so I could take notes for my class. And then at the end of the semester, when I'm trying to put all my notes together, I'm like, oh, where's this paper? Where's that paper? Not about to happen again. I'm gonna stay organized this semester, and when you guys go to law school, y'all are gonna be organized too. I already organized everything for this semester. I got all my folders set up for class. I got pretty much everything ready. So stay organized because it's a lot going on. And when I tell y'all that some of the papers that I had some of the most important notes from class for some reason, ooh, yeah, stay organized. Stay organized. Like seriously. This is my favorite tip right here. Outline early. I don't care what nobody says. Don't be trying to wait until the very end of the semester to outline. Well, wait, let me backtrack. Some people have different learning strategies, but in my experience, and even like from talking with my peers and stuff, I think the best thing that I did was outline early, especially for those closed book exams, because you want to spend that reading period or the time right before the exam memorizing as much as you can, doing practice questions and all that. So if you already got your outline ready, all your class notes, well, basically outline is all your class notes and stuff, and you condense them or whatever. If you already got that ready to go, all you gotta do is study that. So don't be waiting I don't even think you should wait until the middle of the semester. I personally started outlining very early, and I really think that helped me. And at one point, Well, maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but at one point I was outlining in my torts class because I was just tired and it was the end of the semester, but outline early. Ask questions before the reading period actually starts, because at that point, stuff is starting to get hectic. For one of my professor's office hours, there was like 7 of us just waiting for him, right? So he's a real cool guy, so he just came out there and was like, look, we're about to just all of us sit out here together and everybody ask your questions. And it was great because I got to hear everybody else's answers and stuff, but some of this stuff I wish I had already had clarified before the reading period, so that way I could be practicing. I'm talking really fast. So that way I could be practicing on my practice exams and practice essays. So anyway, ask as many questions as you can before the reading period actually starts, so that way you can be studying those answers and using them in your practice. Take lots of notes in class. So people have different wisdom about note taking in class. Some people say you should write them, some people say you should type them, and maybe it depends on your professor's style of teaching. Like for example, if your professor is giving PowerPoints and maybe you don't need to write every little thing down. If your professor is just reading from the case or just reading directly from the book, maybe you don't need to write all that, I don't know. But what I do know is that for one of my classes, everything that my professor said seemed to be so important looking back on the exam and the practice exams. So in the beginning, I wasn't really writing every single thing. I was just like, okay, maybe that's important. But once the semester continued, I started writing everything that man said. I put it in bold next to my notes because I knew it was important. And then when I got in my study group, we would be like, oh, he said this. Okay, write that down. Oh, I got that. Write that down. So take lots of notes in class. Some people say you shouldn't take a lot of notes. Some people say you should sit there and think about it. For me, my memory is not that good, so I'm just sitting up in class typing. And I was able to pay attention and think about what he was saying while I was typing it too. So take lots of notes in class and pay attention. Don't you ever, ever, ever get behind. I've heard all kinds of stories about people talking about how it's the end of the semester and they still haven't read whole sections of the book. I mean, I've heard all kinds of stuff. You don't want to end up like them. Read on time, read what's in the syllabus, read everything your professor says to read, even if your professor doesn't cold call, because everything they have in that syllabus is going to be important. I'm gonna just do a little brag real quick. I personally never got behind. Did I? Maybe a couple of cases I didn't read, but in general, I stayed on my stuff. And some people have different strategies. For me, I like to read ahead, but other people like to read the day before class. I don't like to do that because then I'll be feeling stressed out trying to read. But you know, whatever your strategy is, just don't get behind, because at the end of the semester, you're gonna be like, dang, I gotta catch up on the reading. I gotta do practice exams. See, I can't even say that, practice exams. I gotta go to my study group. I gotta ask questions. Ooh, it's just a lot. So just don't get behind. Make it easy on yourself, you know? Learn your strengths and weaknesses. So like I said before, I know that my memory is not the best thing. So if I'm gonna have a closed book exam, I'm gonna have to start memorizing stuff way ahead of time. I gotta come up with some new ways to memorize things. I gotta make it make sense in my mind so that I can memorize it. I gotta do all kinds of stuff to make sure I got that info up in here. But I already know that's one of my weaknesses and I'm trying to work on it, but for now, I'm gonna just work with it. Ooh, that's a good one. Work on it, but for now, work with it. Ooh, yes. I'm gonna trade TM. Y'all see the little TM? Anyway, yes. And if you have a strength, maybe if you're really good at memorizing, but you are not good at, I guess, putting stuff into practice, you need to work on that too. One of my closest friends, she could memorize these rules. The professor could have said it in class and she already knows what he's talking about. She got it all memorized. But she would tell us that she had a hard time applying the rules to like different fact patterns. And so she had to work on application. But for me, I couldn't memorize nothing, but I had an easier time applying stuff to different fact patterns. So you gotta know what you're good at and what you're bad at, and you gotta work on it. You gotta stare it in the face and grab it by the horns and whatever other sayings people say and work on those weaknesses, okay? Work on them. So insiders, I hope you guys learned something from this little video. You know, this was a long semester. This was a long semester, but I learned a lot and I'm happy to share them with you guys. So if you have any questions or comments or any suggestions for other videos you want to see, comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Thank you. Bye, insiders.